Hey there, it's Dr. Deborah, and this short video is another in my series called Dr. Deborah's Dreams. And in these videos, I'm trying to bring to life depth psychology concepts when it comes to exploring your dreams. And depth psychology, as a review, is the study of the unconscious. So my expertise is teaching people how to harness the wisdom from their unconscious, which speaks to you in a lot of different ways, including your dreams. So in this video, I'm going to talk about recurring dreams. And if you think about it, recurring dreams recur because you haven't gotten the insight yet that you need to get. And you'll see that once you begin to gain the insight and find the meaning, the dream actually goes away. So, this recurring dream happened for, I think, over 7 years, and it was leading up to my midlife unraveling. So it's the dream where the mercenaries are chasing you through your childhood home. So this is how it went. I was just in the middle of being chased, and all I remember is trying to get away and running, and it was dark, and I was running into the basement of my house and back upstairs and out the window and across the street and behind my neighbor's house, and it was dark, and I thought I could hide in the darkness, and these men with guns were chasing me. It was terrifying. And I didn't think anything of it. And this was way before the synchronicity that brought me to study depth psychology. So I just kept having this dream. Well, before I got to Pacifica Graduate Institute, I attended a dream tending workshop run by Dr. Stephen Eisenstadt. And I'll share an image of his book called Dream Tending. And at the end of the first day, he said, if you have a recurring dream, ask for it to come back that night when you go to bed. And I'm like, what? You can't really do that. Sure enough, I went to bed and I said, hey, Psyche, I'd like to have that dream again so I can find some meaning. Well, I did have that dream again, but it was different this time. My son was in it. And at the time, I felt my son was a active character in my psyche and my dreams. He showed up a lot. And so in the dream, the usual is happening. I'm running from these mercenaries, and I run into my sister's red bedroom, the red carpeting in her room in my childhood home, and there's my son. He's laying in bed. And I say, William, come on, we gotta go. Oh my God, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here. And I'm starting to like crawl out the window. I'm removing the screen, and he looks at me and he says, Mom, just go. It'll be okay. So that was interesting. And then the rest of the dream went the way it usually does. So later on the next day, when we worked with dream tending partners, and this is a good time to plug Dreamigos, the new mobile app I am part of, where it's a community of dreamers who can record and either keep their dreams separate, but you have the space and the app to keep them, or you can share them and get other people's thoughts. And it is, you'll see, I'm going to illustrate how the process of having someone else work a dream with you brings the insight faster. So, anyway, I'm telling her the dream. And then we did something Carl Jung came up with. So, this is a depth psychology approach called active imagination. So, I closed my eyes and I went back into the dream, but I didn't want to go to the middle of the dream where I'm being chased and I'm afraid. Instead, in my imagination, I actually ended up walking through my childhood home's the door to the garage, and then there was another door that went into the house. It was an attached garage. And I opened the door slightly and peeked at it. And my dream tending partner would say, well, what do you see? I said, well, I see this man, and he's very dark, and he's wearing a top hat. And she said, well, what does that remind you of? I said, for some reason, it reminds me of my husband. And then it reminded me that my husband likes Frank Sinatra. So for some reason, I associated the man in my active imagination with the top hat, meaning my husband, and he liked Frank Sinatra. And he really did like Frank Sinatra. He would serenade people with Frank Sinatra songs. So I thought, okay, I knew that what was chasing me represented something I was afraid of, but of course I didn't know what. But I felt safe in my active imagination because I was sneaky. I was sneaking in through the garage door. I walked closer to the man who was sitting, and the closer I got, the more calm I felt. And then eventually I sat down into the man who it turns out was like a shadow, and it wasn't a real person. And as I sat down, what I was struck the most was my lack of emotion. that there just was none. So after that dream and after that experience, the meaning I took from it was, okay, I need to face something that's scary and I can do it. That was it. That was the only meaning. Well, I didn't have that dream again. And what ensued over the next couple of years was the falling apart of my marriage and my business, and my son was struggling, and it was just everything. And over time, or not that long time, but soon I began to circle back to that dream and realize that the lack of emotion I felt had to do with this deep truth that I just couldn't, I wasn't ready for. And the deep truth wanted to be known, which was that I didn't feel the same way about my husband, which was devastating to me, and that I didn't want to be married, and I couldn't even allow that thought. And then after that, years after that, I circled back to the dream again. And I thought, I wonder if it was mutual. And I began to have this feeling that when I did release my husband, when I ended up getting divorced, that I didn't just release me, I released him from living up to my expectations as well. So, as you can see, recurring dream comes to you until you get the insight that it's trying to communicate. And the other thing that this is illustrating is that dreams can continue to have meaning and can continue to be processing and impacting you underneath the surface of your conscious awareness. Because remember, of your 60,000 thoughts a day, 75% of them are negative, 95% of them are repetitive, and they're unconscious. Those are unconscious. And it's the same with our emotions. So sometimes there's an emotion sitting deep down that you're just afraid. You're afraid to face. And that's the meaning that I ultimately applied to this dream. So I hope that's helpful to you, that it brings some depth psychology concepts to life through me working and sharing with you how I found meaning in my dream. And maybe you can try this. And again, I encourage you to join our community. I'm part of Dreamigos. So I'll show you an image. It's Dream, IGOS. And you can download it from Google Play or the Apple App Store. And you don't have to share your dreams, but it is really an interesting experience. And also, the founder, Patrick Lane, he's the science guy. So he's always sharing the research on the benefits of not only exploring your dreams, but sharing and exploring them in community, because we're a part of a collective as well. So, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and please leave me a comment. And if you want to share, how this impacted you and how it gave you a different way to think about one of your dreams, that would be great. So take care. Until next time.